I would say my advice is to go slow. There's so many options out there. Start with what you love because there's a vast variety of trainers and classes and types of classes now with boxing coming into play. That's a huge thing for a lot of people. And you saw that coming, right?
Yes.
But just take it slow. Look at the pre-programmed Peloton, programs for boxing and core and all of that, and just take it one ride or one run at a time. And don't overwhelm yourself. Start out small.
It's more than just your output, more than a bike. When you hear your shout out, you know it's all right. Put on your magic pants and let's go. We're cruising into the power zone. Clip in, set yourself free. Come on and take a ride with me. Know what you need to know and what's it all about. Everything you need, it's on the Clip Out.
Welcome to the Clip Out Podcast, episode 241. This is Crystal O'Keefe.
And this is Tom O'Keefe. So, good times at the O'Keefe household. Casa de Clip Out. Mm-hmm. We've joined the COVID world. Yeah.
Yep.
So far, we're good. We're clean. But my son got it. And so he is so mad at himself, too.
Yeah.
He didn't do anything.
No,
he's actually
didn't.
been very vigilant. And he even wears like a KN95 mask everywhere he goes. But he is not happy. But we tested this morning and we're negative. Mm-hmm. And so
For the moment. Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could hear Tom, but that was knocking on wood.
So now we all wait.
Yeah. So could be an interesting couple of weeks.
Yeah. But, this is where we get to test the efficacy of the, we purchased at the beginning of COVID, one of those UV light air filters that go on our air conditioning or furnace and filtration system. So we'll see if that helps and we'll keep him at distance.
Yeah.
It's not like it's pretty easy.
We have a pretty open floor plan.
And when the solution is like, hey, 17-year-old boy, stay in this other room and play video games, like that's not a hard sell. So
pretty much what he does all the time.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So I don't even know if we'll notice.
Well, he's crabby as F.
Yes.
So
he's very mad at the world right now.
Yeah.
Because he's like,
and I've been home with him all day.
Yeah. Remember how excited you were to have a work from home job?
Yeah, I didn't know there were going to be kids here.
There you go. That's what you get. I got to go to work. So anyway, what, pray tell, do you have in store for people this week?
I don't even know. Well, we're gonna have a visit with John Mills. He's gonna join us, and we're talking about some Peloton news that they were on LinkedIn, and we're gonna talk about that and some interesting Apple Fitness Plus news. Plus, we have a visit from Dr. Jen, and she joins us to talk about overcoming a case of Idontwannas.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, I know everyone can identify with that. I mean, Tom, that's practically your entire mantra.
Yes.
And then we have a visit from MetPro. Does menopause affect cyclical keto? And then there is so much going on with the instructors. We're going to hit all of the things, all the places that they are seen this week. There's also we have an interesting discussion about Lululemon and Pelotons. We'll talk about that. And we have a visit from the Peloton Prophet.
Ooh, how about that?
So lots and lots and lots of stuff to come.
Awesome. Well, before we get to all that, shameless plugs, don't forget we're available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, wherever you find a podcast, you can find us. Don't forget, if you're a Spotify user, you can now rate podcasts. So if you want to scroll on up and give us a rating, that would be helpful. Hopefully a good one. You can also leave us a review in lots of places, but we normally focus on Apple Podcasts, and we have a new review.
Ooh.
This is from Barbie Girl Fish.
Barbie Girl Fish.
Yes.
Huh. And interesting.
It says, way to represent the Midwest. I wish you'd been on the air earlier. Purchased my bike in 2014. I was completely lost in the beginning. I tried to get Peloton information from everywhere. Your podcast would have been the best source of all things Peloton. I love listening to your show on my long commutes home from Kansas to Kansas City. Crystal, Tom, John Mills, Dr. Jen, and Angelo. I cannot live without my weekly fix. You both do a great job of keeping it real. Keep making it great. So, well, thank you very much.
God, thank you. That was such a kind review.
Yeah, that's very nice of you. And you can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/theclipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group, and you can watch these on YouTube if you are so inclined, youtube.com/theclipout. And you can also sign up for our weekly newsletter at theclipout.com, where all the stories and links and pictures, all that stuff will just get sent directly to your inbox in a weekly digestible digest. So there's all that. Let's dig in, shall we?
We shall.
Run, lift, and live with John Mills.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's John Mills. Hey, John, how's it going?
Going on? What's happening? I'm ready to go. Get in.
I love that Grandpa Shark energy you bring. Thank you for being
That's
you.
Gotta come with that energy now. That's right.
Oh goodness. So I guess let's just jump right in. So LinkedIn, you discovered, had a survey of the best places to work, and Peloton made the list.
Yes. I don't know much about this site, but it built in NYC. It's like a tech collaborative site where you go to like post a job or look for a job, or they just talk about the tech industry or tech companies that kind of were built out of New York.
Yeah.
So I was learning about the site as I found this posting from Peloton about their ranking. And yeah, they're ranked in there as one of the best places to work in NYC. And I think they kind of base that ranking, the site bases the ranking on some of the benefits that you get from working at Peloton, like, group workouts or 401k match or, things like that. They look for those employee benefits, and then they use those to kind of rank them. So yeah, Peloton was high up on the list.
Yeah, number 20, I believe. And that's pretty high in a city like New York.
Yeah,
right?
Like St. Louis, I don't even know if we have 20 tech companies.
I also thought it was interesting that they said it, like on the website, it said that there's 1,300 people employed by Peloton locally. I thought that was an interesting number.
That. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And we should also point out that the picture that accompanies this article, you're in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in it. It's like, funny. I remember the picture, but I don't remember some of the people that were in the picture. So
I remember this picture being taken because Tom and I were over talking to Ben and Leanne when this picture was taken. I so remember this because I was jealous. I was watching everybody get assembled, and I was like, I want to be in the picture.
And then the Peloton Instagram account shared the photo of you talking to Ben and Leanne.
I know.
All's well that ends well.
It totally does.
Yeah,
but yeah, there's so there's Ross Rayburn is in this picture. Tom Cortese is in this picture. But also there's a gentleman right in the center next to a lady that has her like a yellow hoodie on. To the left of Ross Rayburn, there's a gentleman that has on a Peloton shirt and it's black, and he's standing there holding a water bottle. And I met him at the big sale, the apparel sale, and I got my picture taken with him too. He's a Peloton employee as well. I don't remember his name, but I remember that he always listened to the clip out, and like he totally recognized me when I walked into the apparel store, and he's like super nice. So it's funny because there's a whole bunch of Peloton members in there, but there's also a whole bunch of Peloton employees in that picture. I love that picture so much.
Yeah, like I see the people I know, Jasmine, Denise, and some other people I see in there.
Yes.
But then there's other people I know their faces, but I don't know their names. But yeah, it's kind of cool. That was fun.
It was. That was a fun day. Yeah. I don't know we'll ever get to have those days again.
Yeah.
Right?
I just don't know. Know.
Well, we're racing towards herd immunity.
Yeah.
1.5 million cases yesterday. Yeah. I don't know when we're going to get back to.
I don't either. We're doing our part, John.
Yeah.
We got the COVID in our house. What do you got going on?
Yeah. I ain't doing nothing because I ain't got no COVID here yet. I need to get to it.
You are slacking. But it's nice to see just a nice little positive story about Peloton.
It is. It is. It is.
That was kind of cool. And then to see the imagery of community, that was really nice to see.
I also think it's funny that like nobody really caught this because it's on LinkedIn and nobody pays attention to LinkedIn.
I know. It's weird because Peloton didn't post it on their socials. They usually do. So it's fascinating. Like everything about this is weird how they handled it. I don't even know what to say.
I was trying to ask that question in my group, like, how come it's only on LinkedIn? I'm just trying to start crap.
So my theory is that Peloton is like they're so like sunburned from all the bad news.
Head down.
They see the story and they're just like, what's the catch? There's a trick here.
It's so funny. I saw somebody post and they were like, I think these things are all staged. And I was like, I feel like that's where everybody is on everything Peloton does. There's always something negative.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't matter what they do.
It's funny when people post the bad articles about Peloton, I never see anybody say they think it's staged. Like there's so much staging, but only for the things that back up the thing you already believe. Maybe you should think about the way you view the world. Like,
there it is. There it is.
Confirmation bias isn't the only, or COVID isn't the only pandemic. So is confirmation bias. So there you go.
Ain't that the truth?
Yeah, unfortunately.
So moving along, you also were talking about new Apple Fitness Plus features that came out on Monday of this week.
Yeah, I just find this stuff fascinating because I look at the different capabilities that Apple Fitness Plus is dropping, not just them, other players in the space. And a lot of them are starting to like overlap. Like they're the same type of capabilities to some extent, right? So that's what I saw fascinating. So it dropped on Monday and Apple Fitness Plus now has this time to run. They already had what they call time to walk. It's like audio classes like Peloton Outdoor, where it's an audio class and you're walking, but it's a celebrity talking to you while you walk.
And they're just like chatting. Like it's not like they're leading a class. They're just chatting, right?
Right. Yeah. And so Apple Fitness Plus announced time to run now. So now they have the same context, but now it's for, running. And I suppose those are going to be more like a structured class.
I think it's it's the same conversation. They just play it at 1.5 speed. That's
all it is.
Yeah, that's all.
It's quicker.
And they're out of breath. Okay.
Out of breath the whole time. So yeah, but what's interesting about that one is they said the time to run is going to be in locations around the world. I mean, if you're just listening, what does it matter where that person is? I found that fascinating. Like, are they going to be telling you how nice things look?
That's
a really good point, John.
That's kind of odd.
It is.
Because also, like,
weird, right?
without listening to one, and I think we all know I'm not going to.
Yeah, we do.
Not just because I don't have an iPhone, but but I'm also like, so what's different than just getting a brisk walk in while listening to a podcast? Like, why wouldn't you?
Because it's connected to iFit and they get downloads and they can count it as a class.
Yeah, I guess. I
don't know. It was throwing me a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit. I don't know. It's throwing me. But anyways, that was something new. I thought maybe is that their kind of similar offering to like actual Peloton scenic runs? But then I went, nah, because you're actually seeing something scenic. Like,
right.
I don't
right.
know.
Yeah. Like that makes way more sense than. Yeah, I'm confused. I also see Sugar Ray Leonard on here, and I'm just like, I don't know that like 40 minutes of listening to an aging boxer talk to me, like, he's taking a lot of blows to the head, but I don't know. I don't know. Like, how's he doing? Anybody know? Like,
I truly don't know. I don't know.
I don't know.
Maybe.
I have no idea. Well, so when I first saw it, I thought, oh, they're going to be these celebrities. And they're training you. But then I learned, like as you said, Tom, it's like the time to walk is, they're just kind of giving you like, talking through like stuff. Like,
yeah.
So it's not really.
Talking through stuff.
Just chit chat.
So I don't know what kind of stuff they talking about. Like, I don't like, yeah. So is it like a podcast? I don't know.
Yeah.
I picture it. This is how I picture it. I picture it as like, when you go to see a celebrity and they start telling stories about whatever they were a celebrity about. Like when we saw Stevie Nicks and she told stories about how she wrote some of the songs.
Recording with Tom Petty.
Yeah. So that's what I'm picturing. I don't know if that's what it is, but that's what I'm picturing.
That could be it. Maybe that's it. I'll probably never listen to one, so I don't know. Someone else will have to tell me.
Somebody out there who listens, can you do the research? Because we're not interested enough to go do it ourselves.
No.
But we're a little curious.
We're a little curious, but not enough to listen.
Nah.
Then they have these, this was interesting to me. They have these artist spotlights, which I guess they're like Peloton's artist series for all of their classes, right? And they just, differing from how Peloton does it, they just went, listen, we got artist series coming up for Ed Sheeran, Pharrell Williams, Shakira, and the Beatles. They just threw it all out there at one time. Just here, look, they're all coming.
Here you go.
I do find that interesting. Like, do they think like it's such a not big deal? Like Peloton puts a lot of emphasis on it because, if you go back in time, in this timeline, right, Peloton got a lot of shit for their music issues. Yeah. And, Apple walked into all this way after Peloton had already dealt with all of that and resolved it. But I think Peloton elevates it as an experience. Like, oh, this is exciting for members. We're gonna make it a big deal. But Apple, they have kind of a different viewpoint, right? I don't know which is right or wrong, but I just think they come at it from a completely different angle because they already have access to all these artists. So it's not that big of a deal to them.
That's exactly how it felt to me. And it's not as if they released those artist series on the 10th. They were just saying, yeah, that's coming. And here are all the artists that are coming. It's like, so it's not going to be a shock to anybody. No surprise. Right. You're right. It's like, it's just a completely different way of doing it.
Maybe they're picking up on the fact that some people are kind of tired of the way that Peloton hypes the artist series. I don't know. Just a thought.
Yeah. I was wondering about that too. It's kind of, I don't know.
So do you think that Apple pays a different rate, a better rate?
Wondering the same.
For the music, because of iTunes and they already own their own streaming service, that they're like, well, you already have access to this on your phone, so we don't have to pay for it in the same way that Peloton does.
Because it's still a different way to stream it.
Sure.
Like we found out that whenever Peloton was going through this, part of the issue was how they were streaming it, how they were doing. So I am curious about that because is Apple doing this in such a way it's considered to be a performance in the way that Peloton was?
Right.
And maybe that's why they're not making a big deal about it, John. Maybe it's like, oh, well, we can't make it into a performance the way Peloton does, or we got to pay all this extra money.
We got to pay a different rate.
So,
I don't know.
Could be.
There's lots of questions.
There's so much gray area in streaming licensing. It's so hard to say, but I'm certainly fascinated by if they get better rates because, like I said, they have their own music streaming service and they get away with it. And they honestly, I mean, quite frankly, they have better leverage with the bands and the labels because of iTunes and Apple Music.
They do. Yeah.
Yeah. I never knew how complex and how intricate this licensing was.
It's a mess.
It's a big old mess.
Until I started learning a little more about it as Peloton was going through, their battles with the music industry. But so you're right. It could be anything. I don't know.
There's a lot. There's a lot.
Different.
I think we just added more questions. We have zero answers.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in. We know nothing.
Oh, no.
But at least we own it.
20-minute core classes they're dropping. I guess that's new. That sounded like a Peloton thing.
It's totally a Peloton thing. So is Pilates. So is dance.
And then the Pilates and then the dance. Right.
They're just following right along.
Mm-hmm.
So
then they had this thing called collections, which sounded like, I don't know, is that like programs?
I think that's when you don't pay your bill. Sugar Ray Leonard comes over to your house, grabs you by the lapels. Yeah. And he's like, I might be 65, but I'm still tougher than you.
Yeah, well.
Pay up.
That would be that's an interesting, the word sounds like programs, but I don't know. It also could just be like curated classes, like,
right.
Like, oh, we did all these 5-minute bar and we, because I don't know. To me, it sounds like they're just grouping them in a different way than Peloton does, but they're just slapping the same label on it. That's what I hear. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, you're probably right. That's probably what it is.
As the longer I talk, the more I think maybe I'm just in a negative place today.
Well, you know what? In fairness, you did test negative this morning.
That's true. It's true. Yeah. I set up my whole day. I should have waited till after this, till we recorded to test.
But yeah, I mean, it a lot of that stuff just seems to just be kind of lining up. Like, I guess, a lot of that stuff also iFit provides similar stuff.
It does, yeah. Like, well, I think all the big players are starting to do that. I mean, Tonal has all these different kinds of content now. They've got bar, Pilates, yoga, dance. They have all those things. Right. And I know iFit does and doesn't. Isn't there another one that does? Well, I hate to include Echelon because I don't feel like they're a serious competitor, but they have tons of modalities as well. I feel like that's the new thing, right? Which is why they're going to start they're going to start buying each other. I still don't think it's going to be Peloton's going to get bought, but I do think there's going to be consolidation in the fitness industry because they're all the same. I think
so too.
Sorry, Tom. With Echelon, I mean, if Peloton has done it, it's a given that Echelon will do it.
For sure.
We haven't talked about this, but Echelon CEO, his name is Fonjoli. I don't know if you know that.
Really?
That's crazy.
Yeah, did he have it?
Didn't know that.
Yeah.
Did he go and change it legally?
They just found a guy named that.
Oh.
And they were like, "You're the CEO of Echelon now. Here's your hat."
Oh, okay. Yeah. Gotcha.
If you're the CEO of Echelon, you get a hat. I don't know why.
Yeah. For some reason, they give him a hat.
They just give you a hat. Yeah. It says CEO on it. Except it's spelled wrong.
Except it's spelled wrong.
Yeah.
Does anyone take the dancing classes? I mean, the dancing classes sound like a lot of fun in theory.
There are people that do, but I don't think that they do enough of them to make it a regular thing. Because it's like an event, not part of your workout. Does that make sense? Like, it's not something you're like, I plan to do a dance workout every week for the next 52 weeks of my workout. You're just like, oh, new dance stuff dropped, I'll throw it in here and there. That's how people seem to approach it. But also, they haven't dropped anything for a while. So like the last time they did it was that guy. I know people are going to yell at me. I can't remember his name. Usher.
Yeah. Not even
that's right. When Usher, that's right.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. That's right.
And so there hasn't been any new ones for a while. If there has, it's been very low key and I haven't even noticed. So I just don't think there's enough of them to make it like on a regular basis. There's going to be so many bike classes every day. There's going to be so many run classes, but you don't know when those dance classes are going to drop. That's just my thought.
I mean, when I see like people post after taking the dance class, I'm always like, that looked like fun. Or when I see the small ads that Peloton puts out with them trying to learn to move, I'm like, that looked like fun. But when I'm done working at the end of the day and I go into the workout space, what comes to my mind isn't, let me take one of these dance classes. It just never does.
I have tried it. I've tried the dance classes and through no fault of the Peloton instructors, I just can't learn them very well. Like I can do them, but I don't find it as fun as I do other classes because I'm not good at it. And so like it's impossible for them to go slow enough for me to learn it. Like we're going to have to do this about 50 more times before I have it. And it's not fun to do that many times.
Like you're always like 4 steps behind.
I am.
I took a dance cardio thing on Tonal one time by accident. I didn't know that's what it was.
And I've never heard so much complaining
and
from
I was
them.
Just like, I've never felt stupider.
Yeah.
And I was just never again.
I am right with you. Okay. I'm one of those people that I don't want to stop until I figure out whatever it is I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
And that was the frustrating part. Cody was doing these moves.
Right.
When it first dropped, I don't know, like a year ago. And I couldn't figure it out. And then they were moving on to the next thing.
And you're like, wait. Hold it. I got to get this down. The simplest things I cannot do, like a body roll, I cannot do it. It's like, it's uncomfortable how bad I am at it. Like, it shouldn't be that hard. I look at them and I'm like, I got it. And then I try to do it. My body's like, we don't do that.
That's not. Stop. We're both Irish. You've seen how the Irish dance. It's just from the knees down.
Exactly.
Like it's not,
that is how I am built to dance. It's not good, And then I see these people making these TikToks and I'm like, that's what they meant to do.
Yeah.
I don't have that talent. It's not
I
here.
could never do that.
Not here.
The one dance class that I thought about, well, not taking, just kind of watching.
Just watching.
Wasn't even a Peloton one. Like I saw an ad once on like Instagram, and I can't remember if it was Apple Fitness Plus or Echelon. It was one of the two, and it was like nearly, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months ago. And I saw it as like competitive stuff. Like they saw Peloton dropping their stuff, so they wanted to drop something. And they were doing like a break dancing.
Oh,
class.
I remember that. It was Echelon. Because I was like, somebody's going to die.
Right. It was like so crazy. The dude's doing flips and he's doing twists. And
I was like, wait.
I'm like,
the
what
treadmill
in the
has been
world?
recalled for safety and they're releasing breakdancing classes. The world has lost their mind.
I was like, whoever can do that class, that's like Ozone or somebody.
Yeah, for real.
I can't do any of that.
No.
like I'm turbo.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I just, something would get broken.
Say Crush Groove. I can't do that.
And most likely it would be my head if I even tried. Yeah.
This ain't Breaking 2 Electric Boogaloo. I can't do all that.
Oh, man.
well.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us. Until next week, where can people find you?
They can find me in my Facebook page or group, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on Instagram, Run, Lift, and Live. They can find me on the Tickety Talk, Run, Lift, and Live, or at runliftandlive.com.
Thank you.
The Clip Out.
So, we've been having lots of fun with the new Sonos Rome.
We have. Yeah, it's so cool.
And it's so portable. It was nice because like you use it on the bike all the time, and because it drowns out my headphones.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, but it was nice like when we had people over on Christmas Eve. We had family over, all vaxxed.
Yes,
just to be clear.
Yes,
but we brought it upstairs and we like to play Christmas music on it.
Yeah, and what's really cool about it is it's super simple. It's just like around 6 inches long and cylindrical, and I could easily carry it up the stairs and just plop it down, and it's already connected to my phone, so I could just play our music, our playlist, and it immediately just got added to our wonderful speaker system. Like you can add it on to it, like existing speakers. So it's so cool.
And since it's voice activated, I could make it skip whenever all of a sudden my fancy Christmas playlist would pull up a Real Big Fish Christmas song. And I'm like, my sister doesn't want to hear that.
Yeah. That's true.
I could just have it skip.
And it also has like the Sonos radio. I love that because if you didn't have a fancy playlist attached to it, you can just listen to their existing ones. You don't have to think. And sometimes I need to not think. It's great.
Yes, especially at Christmas time, holidays, or not at the holidays. Actually, not thinking can be fun.
Yes, agreed. Agreed.
So if you want to check it out for yourself, go to Sonos.com to learn more.
Getting the Psychological Edge with Dr. Jen.
Joining us once again is Dr. Jen Mann, licensed marriage, family, and child therapist and sports psychology consultant. You may know her from VH1's Couples Therapy with Dr. Jen, or VH1's Family Therapy with Dr. Jen, or her long-running radio show, The Dr. Jen Show. She's written 4 best-selling books, including The Relationship Fix, Dr. Jen's 6-Step Guide to Improving Communication, Connection, and Intimacy. It's Dr. Jen. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Oh, I miss those shows. Those are so good.
Yes.
So this question comes from Christina Ribeiro, and she starts off by letting us know that she is kind of embarrassed about this question. She says that
those are the best kind.
No, it's not that kind of question.
Oh.
She says, I can't swim. I've always had a phobia and a strong fear of water. And I've been trying to deal with that because whether I like swimming or not, I actually think it's important. And I see it as a survival skill rather than a workout. We have a pool in my house and we live by a lake. I've been taking swimming lessons privately and in group, but I still struggle to set a positive mindset. In class, I'm constantly looking at the clock. How do you accomplish something you don't like or enjoy, but know is necessary and that you'll benefit from it?
This is a really fascinating question to me. And the first thing that I would want to know is what happened that made swimming so scary for her? And I think it's really important, whether it is a trauma that she experienced or a TV show maybe she watched as a kid that left an imprint, or something that someone said to her when she was younger. But clearly there's a connection for her about danger and swimming. And I would say the one really important thing for her to do is to explore that, ideally in some therapy, some short-term therapy, maybe with someone who specializes in phobias, because this does sound more like a phobia than just kind of someone who doesn't like swimming. It sounds like there's enormous anxiety associated with this. So really working through anything where she got these negative messages, and then working on changing whatever it is, the self-talk that she has about swimming, whether it is I'm going to drown or something bad's going to happen. I also do believe that sometimes we need to really listen to our instincts, and that, yes, this is an important thing. She doesn't have to love swimming. She doesn't have to become a triathlete where she actually partakes in swimming, like competitions and stuff. But I do think that she's right on that this is a skill. If God forbid she falls into a pool, she wants to be able to at least swim out. She doesn't have to love it. She doesn't have to enjoy it. But I do think that working past the anxiety will help her be safer when it comes to water. And by the way, I don't think you got to swim in a lake. I think that if you swim in a pool and you master the skill enough, so if you were to fall out of a boat or fall into a pool, that you can handle it, I think that that's really good enough. But really working through the emotional trauma that's connected to this is key.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. I know when I was growing up, my mom was always scared of water, and she tried really hard not to pass that on to us kids. And she would say that she had a bad experience when she was younger, and that's what triggered it for her. And to this day, she still does not like water at all. So she can swim, but she doesn't like to.
And we get these incredible imprints in our psyche when we have a traumatic experience like that. And it's important to work through it so that trauma doesn't own us still.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I know how to swim, and I would go swimming all the time as a kid, and then I went decades without swimming. And like when we were on vacation and I tried to snorkel, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. I have a full-fledged panic attack when I try to put my face in the water, and nothing happened to me. Like, it didn't used to be a thing. It's a thing now.
Yeah. And look, also sometimes it's about control. Sometimes we become more claustrophobic as we get older. Sometimes as we get older in general, I think we feel our mortality more than ever. And I think also in the past 2 years, especially with COVID, that a lot of people have lost people. We all feel more vulnerable. I think we're all a lot more in touch with our mortality in a different way.
Sad, but true.
Yeah, absolutely. So, well, thank you so much for joining us. Until next week, where can people find you?
You can find my weekly column in InStyle magazine. It's called Hump Day with Dr. Jen. It's all about sex and relationship, where I give advice. You can also find me on all social media at Dr. Jen Mann, 2 N's on Jen, 2 N's on Mann. And I do post all of my Peloton workouts on my Insta story.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Instructors in the news.
So Alex Toussaint was on the Steam Room podcast.
Yeah, and I don't know much about it because I know it has to do with sports.
I guess basketball, because there's Charles Barkley.
Yes, that makes sense.
Who I only know because he once played basketball against Godzilla.
Of course, that's why you know.
That's why that's in my head.
But it's pretty dang cool that he is on this podcast. So,
yes.
Congrats to Alex for being on that. I've heard good things from the people that have had a chance to listen.
Absolutely. And then while we're figuring out who was on what podcast, Robin Arzon was on the, I guess this is an NPR podcast, Death, Sex, and Money. 2 of those things I enjoy.
And it's giving a pep talk for the new year. So if you need a little Robin inspiration, you definitely want to check this out.
And then while we're talking about Robin, try to segue these.
It was a big week for Robin.
It's always a big week for Robin.
No. I gotta say, this week was a big deal because this was the official release of Strong Mama, her book. And so it was a very big deal. And Peloton even posted something about how proud they were of her and tons and tons of well wishes this week. So I think that's really cool. That's her second book, her first children's book. And I think it's pretty darn cool.
Delish.com spoke with Cody Rigsby about Dry January.
Well, yeah. And so this was an interesting, I really liked how they did this because it's an advertisement. Just to be clear,
sure.
For Pure Leaf. But what they did is they turned it into an interview and they talked about mocktails and why it's important and why it's important to have dry January. For Cody, he talked about how it's an act of self-care in his opinion. And then he gave a recipe for one of his mocktails using Pure Leaf tea. So it is for sure a commercial, but they did so much more with it. And I really appreciate that.
So InStyle magazine had their, what is it?
It's the Badass 50.
There we go. The Badass 50. And I'm scrolling. I believe she was Tunde.
Yes, it is Tunde. I think she's down at number 20. And so they do this list twice a year. And so
then it's a Badass 100.
And Tunde made the list. And she is, of course, a badass. Like, there's no doubt. Like,
that is true.
If you've heard Tunde talk even 2 seconds, you know she's a badass. If you just see her and how she exudes energy and happiness, you know she's a badass. But they talked about the fact that she specifically is highlighted because she went from a person as a child who did not make sports teams that she tried out for in her teenage years. And now she is partnered with Nike and she's releasing her book this summer called Speak. And she is working to create a more inclusive community for sport and invite women and young girls into the space. And it's just amazing what she has done in her lifetime. So she is absolutely a badass and deserving to be on this list.
Black Girl Nerds has an article, 5 black female fitness divas you need to get to know in 2022. And Peloton has not 1, but 2 on there.
That is so cool. So Chelsea Jackson Roberts is on there and she does a little thing about yoga. And then also Allie Love is on there. So that's amazing that they both got highlighted for what they do. And so I like that. And Chelsea talked about her love of yoga and how it's so like important for people to move and how she likes being inclusive for people and like inviting people who don't think of themselves as yogis. And she's really accessible. So if you haven't tried a class with her, please do.
My only quibble with that is like, I don't know that I would consider either of them to be nerds.
Well, I think that's the name of the outlet, not the name of the group, like the
but
article.
Since it's on a nerd website, I just think that they would, I would think that they're like, these are people from our nerd world. And
I get that.
They don't seem nerdy.
They do not.
I can say that I'm a nerd.
Yeah, that's fair.
You agreed pretty readily.
Well, you are most certainly a nerd. But it's okay. I've always gone for nerds, so I'm very comfortable with my nerd status.
Okay. InStyle magazine has a piece from Michelle K. Once again, leaving the world of shape. I just don't know how to.
But it's still a Peloton instructor.
It is still a Peloton instructor, but I just get all kerfluffled. So pretty soon InStyle is going to get mad, so I need to stop saying that. They're going to be like, okay.
We're not against InStyle.
No. Or Michelle getting paychecks.
No, we love that.
Yes.
We love that. We just got trained that she was going to be over in Shape magazine, and then she's over in InStyle, and she's like, make our head explode.
Yes. But whatever gets her paid is what we support.
Yes.
So they're over there talking to Jess Sims.
Yes, my buddy Jess Sims. I mean, I don't think she knows that she's my buddy, but I know she's my buddy. But she was talking about the Pinterest phrases that are like the fitness phrases that she hates, and that there's one that actually motivates her.
Gotcha.
So it's really funny because if you kind of go through here, she hears these, and sometimes there are lots of things out there that you hear that they're not really good. Like, I sometimes I hear the ones, and some of our instructors say it, that like how you do everything is how you do anything is how you do everything. And and not all days are like that. Dr. Jen has talked about that.
Totally.
And so she talks about sometimes you got to take it easy. Sometimes you got to do that, but also sometimes you got to challenge yourself. One of the ones that she doesn't like is never miss a Monday, because she says that it implies Monday is a magical day. And the quote is, and it's like, no, it's not. Yeah. And I can so hear her saying that.
And she also, I think this is a good point. Not everybody starts to work week on a Monday. Not everybody's Monday is a Monday. Like, I say that all the time. At work, someone would be like, have a good weekend. And I'm like, I've got 2 concerts this weekend. I don't have a weekend.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. I agree with that, because Mondays tend to be, honestly, our weekends are so jam-packed that a lot of times Mondays I'm like, whew, I need to just chill.
Totally.
So I think it's great.
Absolutely. And then while we're in the world of Jess Sims, she was featured on Insider.com.
Yes, she talked about her favorite exercises being single deadlifts and push-ups to build strength and prevent injury. And this makes perfect sense to me, because they build large muscle groups and they're also moving lots of muscle groups. So you're working a lot of things at the same time, and it's good mobility. So yes, it's going to help you get stronger and decrease the opportunity to get injured.
Then a website called Glory.Media. That's a new one, at least for us.
Yeah, for us.
Talked to Adrian Williams.
They did, and he gave some tips for New Year's fitness goals. So, it's kind of the usual things that we hear, but he talked about how we're doing less. We're going out, we're connecting with people less. And so it's super important to have fun and maybe take just 30 minutes to yourself a day, try to move. I mean, it's just kind of getting into that habit.
Yeah.
But if you're starting from scratch, it's super important. So I also think that we should take a moment and recognize that Jayvee Nava has been working for Peloton for 8 years. She had her 8-year anniversary this week. She posted a little montage video on Instagram that was amazing, kind of just some of the highlights. There's been so many, but we wanted to say congratulations,
Absolutely.
Jayvee.
We had to struggle where to put this, because it could also be a past guest update.
I know. It's like so many places.
The Clip Out.
Joining us once again via the magic of ZoomTube is Angelo from MetPro, here to answer your fitness questions. Nutrition.
Hi.
God dang it. Nutrition questions.
What's happening, Tom?
It's my first day.
I know a couple of things about fitness also.
Okay.
We could go there. I could try my best.
Next thing you know, I'm going to call this Real Spoilers.
Well, I have a very challenging question. I feel like it's more of a set of questions. So
Okay.
I'm going to ask you to boil it down. Okay, this comes from Mia Batal. She wants to know if you can say a little bit about cyclical keto. She's finding that she needs some carbs to maintain her cardio on the bicycle. Otherwise, the rides have been really tough. I also did not lose much weight on keto now that I've hit menopause. I'm trying to be comfortable with my current weight as long as I'm feeling strong and healthy, wanting to stay on the low carb as much as possible through the holidays, though, because I can get into trouble. So let's see. Is there a way to just tell her this is why she needs MetPro?
These are all, there's like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 questions in there, and they're all excellent questions.
Absolutely.
And this is why the things have to be individualized. So here's the short answer, as short as I can give it, Mia. You have played a number of cards. So you've taken some sciences and you've implemented multiple sciences at once. But you've mentioned that it's not getting you quite where you want to be. We have to take you out of the carb sensitivity temporarily, so that way we can once again manipulate your intake, your diet, your carbs, your calories, to create enough contrast to force your body to progress again. When is the time to do it? Well, it sounds like, because you're worried about the time of year, is right now the time to make a whole bunch of changes? Maybe not, so that way you don't go in left field in the coming weeks. But the first thing you mentioned is cyclical keto. So what that means is you're having less carbs on certain days, more carbs on other days. That is a science that is effective, but a huge caveat. It is only effective if you are one of those people that are hyper dedicated to it. If you're the type of person that's good for, 3-4 days, and then you have an off day because you social and busy, it completely undermines the science at play with cyclical keto. You end up with kind of a diet plan that has a little bit of an identity crisis. You'd be better off implementing a different strategy. Then what's happened with keto, or just let's call it low carb, is that is a potent tool, but remember, it's just a tool. And once your body acclimates to it, you have to readjust. So if you're used to, cutting carbs, cutting a little more isn't going to produce a large change. So what we have to do is we have to get your body acclimated to more gradually so we can cut a larger swath at once. That's the type of thing I'd be looking into ways of helping you with if I had a little more background. And then finally, you do need carbs for cardio, which is why any sort of cyclical keto is tougher for endurance athletes in general. I like more routine and consistent things, adjusting things on a macro instead of micro cycle, because you will need to have those carbs if your intention is to increase your performance. So before your activities, you're going to want to put at least the bulk of whatever carbs you have scheduled for that day, because calories or carbs you haven't yet eaten can't help you. So take some out of other parts of the day, put it before your physical activity, your runs, your rides, etc., and that will help a little bit. Overall, I would nudge you towards stabilizing to a medium intake of consistent carbs, and then picking a modality from there to push your advantage, to create enough contrast in your routine to either get a little bit more body fat composition changes, weight loss, or performance, whatever your primary goals are. And Mia, give us a call. I'll personally hop on the phone with you because you do have a lot going on, and I'd be happy to visit a little bit more in depth if you'd like.
Wow.
Awesome.
That's a special offer, Mia.
That is. Yeah. So if other people would like to have these sorts of things tailored for them, maybe not by you personally, but just the other people in your stable of helpers,
all us up.
Of which Crystal is now one.
Yes, Crystal is on metpro.co/TCO. Metpro.co/TCO. Yeah, I said that right. If you go there, and our consultants will actually talk to you. It's not a call center. You go there, we'll actually talk to you and hear what your scenario is. That way we can give you pertinent advice.
Wonderful.
Cool.
Thanks so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Peloton in the news.
So website thefashionlaw.com. I'm sure everyone's familiar with that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. But they had a fascinating article about Lululemon and the Peloton lawsuit and kind of what constitutes. So let me just kind of jump in here. Please do. Save me.
I was gonna. So here's the thing. I know everybody knows Lululemon is suing Peloton. Peloton suing Lululemon. Yada yada. We all know that. But the interesting thing is, this article is like it's about more than whose clothes look like whose. Right. It's also about, where did they file the lawsuit? So Lululemon is saying that, okay, do you remember if we go back in time, that Lululemon sent a cease and desist to Peloton, and they said, Peloton's response was, give us some time. We need a little more time. Right. And then they went and filed a lawsuit. That was their response instead of ceasing. Yeah. And Lululemon is saying Peloton did that on purpose and specifically so that they could file lawsuit in New York, as opposed to where Lululemon would want it, which is in California.
Because it's more favorable to them?
Yes, but the fascinating part is why they say they have a reason for this. They say that Peloton actually has more stores in California than any other store. I think they said 13. And that
you mean any other
state?
Yeah.
Excuse me. And that because of that, all of their decisions, all of their fashion and everything is actually decision made in California. Therefore, it is not applicable to be filing the lawsuit in New York. I think that is a stretch, a huge stretch, because there is not a corporate office in California making these decisions. They are made in New York. I don't think that it's fair for Lululemon to say that. But I think it's interesting that they're trying to, and why do they care so much? I kind of feel like I was reading through this and it seemed to me that there's a little bit of reading between the lines that because of where it gets filed, there's a little bit more latitude towards who's going to get favored.
Right.
I don't know if that's actually true.
And sometimes there's caps on damages in one state, but not another. And so it could be that as well. Like I'm just spitballing, but that could also be driving.
Well, the other interesting thing is Peloton filed in New York, right? But they filed basically saying, hey, dismiss Lululemon's claims outright before they can sue us. That was their filing.
Right.
Well, if that does get dismissed, right? Like if the courts come back and say, Peloton, you can't do this, then the lawsuit that Lululemon has put out on Peloton would still be out there, and then Peloton would have to answer that one still. So it even if this gets moved, it doesn't matter. Like it's still like there's like lawsuit on top of lawsuit on top. It's like so complex.
Yeah, this
is going to take a while unless they settle. That's the only way this is going away.
Fascinating.
I thought so.
And then the aforementioned Michelle K back at shape.
Back at shape, thank goodness.
It's a little easier to breathe. We understand where we're at now. We're acclimated. But she has an interesting article about what to consider before buying a used Peloton, which I'm sure is something a lot of people kick around.
Yeah, it's fascinating to see stuff like this because, I mean, when you've been in the Peloton community as long as we have, like, this is like, we've talked about this ad nauseum.
Totally.
But there's so many new people to the community that have not talked about it.
Well, and here's the thing.
If you're buying a Peloton.
You're not part of the community yet.
I know.
Right? So, like, it seems obvious sometimes to us because we're in it, but, like, by virtue of definition, they're not in it.
Yeah, totally agree. This is a very well-written article. It talks about what you need to consider. Do you get to keep your warranty? Spoiler alert, no. It does not transfer. And she also talks about that, like, if you're buying it, here's some good places to buy it from. Here's some places to think about. And here's some considerations you should take, like step by step, what you should look for when you're buying used equipment. And she talks about how to set it up when you're done. So it's very easy to do that. If you've ever bought Peloton equipment, you know how easy that is. But I think this is a very well-written article. Michelle delivers once again.
A visit from the Peloton Prophet.
Oh, and a visit from the Peloton Prophet. Those are always exciting. What does he or she have to say?
The Peloton Prophet has some sad news. The Peloton Guide was supposed to come out at the end of January. And we are hearing from the Peloton Prophet, it's been delayed. The newest date we're likely to see this is April.
Oof.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
yes.
Positive, maybe we're going to see some new features because I know people are like, well, they've been field testing and that's why they're not releasing it. I don't think that's all there is to it. I think that some of the features they wanted to originally put in there, they've been testing this whole time. That like there's going to be iterations of this because the Peloton Guide was never meant to be a one and done thing. Like we drop it and we're done. It was always meant to be something that gets added on to.
Okay.
And I've alluded to that. So if you have specific questions, go back and listen to old episodes or reach out to me. But it's not going to be a one and done. So you're going to see iterations of this be tested over time. But I also think that because of the feedback that came in, maybe they were like, let's make sure we get the pieces that we are putting out really, really good, really, really crisp.
Yeah.
So I think that it's going to be a good thing that they're waiting. That's my hope.
Fingers crossed.
Yes. Thank you to the Prophet.
Checking out the competition.
So a company called Wonder Size I love the headline of this article. Has a cheap Peloton rival.
SEO.
Like an exercise transformer.
I am fascinated by this thing. Now, let me just say, do I think this is a good thing to purchase? No, not really. But
They say it's cheap. I don't know if that means low cost or a piece of junk.
I don't know either. That will remain to be seen. But the interesting thing about it is that I like, that is a positive.
Mm-hmm.
They did something unique. This is not a Peloton knockoff.
That's
Whether
fair.
you like it or you don't.
Right.
It's not exactly the same. And thank God for that. I'm so tired of that. I'm
That
so
is
bored.
true.
I'm so bored by that. But the interesting thing about this is it has 4 different positions. You can ride this thing. And I think that is also
Go on.
fascinating.
Now
Now I have your attention?
you had my curiosity, but now you have my attention.
Yeah, you can ride this thing almost like it's a chair, like a recumbent bike, and then you can do that in 2 different ways, and then you flip it over and ride like a
And
sit-up bike.
You can ride like you're pooping.
Yeah. That's the recumbent bike part. And then you flip it over and you are riding like you ride a Peloton, but at the
He
weirdest
looks like
angle.
he's taking one of those things up the stairs. Oh man, if you could take one of those things up the stairs and poop, that would be the best.
Well,
Talk about efficiency.
it's also interesting. This doesn't have any kind of tablet. It only works if you're like casting to a TV.
Gotcha.
Which again, I don't think is a bad thing. I think this is actually smart. Will it go anywhere? I don't know, because you have to have all these trackers. And dude, it just looks so uncomfortable.
It does look uncomfortable. You know what it looks like? It looks like something from like 30 years ago that's like, this is what they will exercise on the future using.
It's yeah, I
and
can
then
see
we
that.
don't.
There have been some comments that have come my way that perhaps you might make some connections and you might have some jokes about what that looks like and how, some women feel like they would never be able to work out in that position because their significant others may not leave them alone. Let's just leave it at that.
I think that's a good situation to have with your significant other, right?
It is.
Would you, if you want to be on display like that and your significant other doesn't look twice?
No.
So there you go.
But if you want to get a workout in and you have a limited amount of
you
time,
can still get a workout in. If you're doing it right.
well, not the one you had planned.
Not to toot my own horn.
Well, it will be interesting to see if this goes anywhere. This was at CES and it just caught my eye.
Yeah. And if you want your significant other to leave you alone, then just flip it around and do the one where you're pooping. Chances are they'll leave you alone. Not foolproof.
Right.
There's a few out there.
Okay.
But most people will probably leave you alone at that point.
That's fair.
And if not, let us know and we'll have Dan Savage back on.
Guys can talk it out.
Yeah.
Peloton artist collaborations.
So the latest artist series will feature Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, and it starts today. We record on Wednesdays, so I'm sure people are taking classes right now as we speak.
I just know like the one song. Did she have more than one album? I honestly don't know.
I don't know how many albums she had. She definitely had more than one hit. I know that she had several songs I liked, but it's been so long.
Totally.
God, can you believe she's been gone so long already?
Yeah.
Oh, she was so young, so talented.
Yeah.
So sad.
And then Peloton dropped a teaser for a new artist series.
Yes, saying he finally lands on January 19th.
So I think David Bowie, right?
It's got to be David Bowie. It's got to be those shoes.
Well, I was thinking like because of his Starman thing, and the platform boots, but like that could. I was thinking like, oh, it could also be Elton John, Rocket Man, and he wear shoes like that. But like you said, they've already done Elton John.
They have, and doesn't David Bowie sing the Ground Control
to Major Tom?
Yeah. So I feel like that's where this is like that's what this.
Yeah,
it's going to be that album.
And this Clue teaser dropped on his birthday.
That's the other thing. Yeah. So I think they were kind of following what they did with Taylor Swift there.
Agreed.
So I
think this is the new game they like to play of like little clues not that that's a super difficult clue to figure out, but I think that's, a way to make it fun with their hints and try to piece things together.
I agree. We will see January 19th.
Past guest update.
So TheRinger.com has an article how the rise of the celebrity instructor transformed our relationship with fitness. But why is this a past guest update, you ask?
Because Jessica Minardi is featured front and center.
In the first sentence, she gets mentioned before Jess Sims.
I mean, look at that.
Mic drop.
Star.
Yes. She's like, you're damn right. My guess is that she was like, well, if you would like to interview me,
I'm going to have to be listed.
I have to get mentioned in the article before Jess Sims.
I bet you she had a writer that she sent over.
My guess.
Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
But if for reals,
I know what we had to go through to get her on the show.
Right.
Like, it was a lot. It was a lot.
We had to jump through hoops.
Totally.
We
had so I can't imagine it was any easier for The Ringer.
I agree. But in all sincerity, all jokes aside, congrats, Jess.
Yeah.
This is really cool.
Absolutely.
And I love that she gives so much love to Jess Sims in this article. It's a lot of fun.
Totally. I mean, she could have mentioned the clip out, but...
Maybe next time.
In her next appearance.
Right. we'll maybe we'll put a little bug in her ear.
Yeah. But congrats.
Yeah, congrats. It's cool.
In case you missed it.
So there are lots of new classes.
Yeah, well, there's just things that it's like new programs, really.
Right.
It's just they added a lot in general.
Totally.
So they added a whole new You Can Ride program, and then Crush Your Core 2, which has been asked for so long, finally dropped. And then they also had like this whole running program, and it's got 15-minute intro to intervals and endurance and HIIT. So like if you've never taken any of those classes and you're just getting started, this is the perfect way to start. So lots of great new content.
Also, you can now buy brand new shoes. They have new shoes.
Yeah, and man, has this created controversy. It's a pair of shoes. I had no idea it was going to create such a buzz. I thought people would just be happy they had another option, but I was wrong. I don't know. Maybe they all tested negative for COVID too. But and honestly, people have points. Like, I'm teasing, but they have points. It's pretty expensive for a cycling shoe. It's $145.
Yeah.
Now road bike shoes can go all the way up to like $400 and $500. Okay. So, but like for a spin shoe, this is on the high side.
Gotcha.
For example, Shimano's, that these shoes look almost exactly like, they are half the price. For example.
But do they say Peloton?
No.
There
they
you go.
do not. So yeah, these are called the Altos or the Atlos, something like that. And Peloton is
Mentos?
saying, yeah, it was that.
Don't drop your shoes in 2-liter of Diet Coke.
They'll get fizzy.
Yes.
And people are saying they're not sure about these. They're not sure about the price. I've been hearing they are narrow. Now, this is from people who tested. This is not the final product that shipped.
Right.
But from people who tested, I'm hearing they were very narrow and the strap had trouble keeping their heel down. However, I've also heard from people who went to the store to try these on. Mm-hmm. They were incredibly comfortable, especially compared to the old school white ones. The ones I still have.
Right.
You can't buy those white ones. You only could buy those white ones like for 2 seconds after I was on Peloton and they switched to the black.
You look like Cousin Eddie in Christmas Vacation. It's when you wear your white shoes.
I do. And I will never get rid of them because they are a piece of Peloton history.
Yeah,
you
totally.
cannot get them anywhere else. But I'm going in and buying these shoes. I bought them. They're on the way because, I think they look a hell of a lot nicer with the bike than those ugly white ones. And I want to try them out.
So important.
I know, in my basement where no one can see.
Yes.
But
I should say, because I know some people, a sliver of our listeners, like when I throw in random pieces of pop culture information.
Here we go.
So when I was talking about Christmas Vacation, I thought I would share this with people.
Okay.
How Christmas Vacation is connected to the clip out.
Okay, I'll follow.
So the opening song in Christmas Vacation.
Oh, yeah.
Sung by Marvis Staples, I believe her name is. But it sounds like an old school Phil Spector kind of Christmas song, right? Written by Dr. Jen's parents.
Isn't that cool?
And that's so super cool.
You know, Dr. Jen's parents have written a whole lot of songs. So many songs.
You Lost That Lovin' Feelin'.
Yeah. Monkey songs.
They wrote 2 Monkey songs. They wrote Love Is Only Sleeping and Shades of Grey.
Yeah. They are some talented folks over there.
Absolutely. While we're talking about apparel, shoes count as apparel, right?
Ish. They're not sold in the apparel store, so you'd think, but they're on the accessories place. But yeah, I get
They're
it.
shoes.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, whatever. It's not my job to figure that stuff out. But there's a new Adidas Peloton stuff.
Yeah, and I don't know what Peloton or Adidas is calling it. I just know that everyone in the community is calling it the Minecraft edition. And yeah, as a parent, I'm going to go with that.
Okay.
I'm going to go with that. I'm really in a Beyond Yoga place, and I'm going to stay there.
Okay.
I did try the Adidas clothing the very first one that came out, and that just did not work for me because the gender neutral stuff, it's really stiff and uncomfortable, and it's really big and shapeless. It does not work for my body at all. But I have not heard anything on this one. I did hear on the last one that was green, there were mixed results. So
Gotcha.
I am curious to see how this goes.
And if you like your yoga music, you can now get yourself a yoga Spotify playlist.
Yeah, and I am totally going to do this because there is so much good music in the yoga classes. I always find songs I love in there, and they're great. They're not something that I want to ride a bike to, but
Right.
they're awesome for good, I'm just relaxing music. So definitely going to check out the Yoga by Peloton list.
Peloton birthdays.
And then finally, there's only one birthday this week on January 19th. Cliff, I'll let Crystal say the last name.
Dwinger. Not sure. He's one of our German instructors.
Yes, I knew that much.
Because of that, I haven't got to take a class with him. I've tried taking some of the German classes, not necessarily with Cliff, just in general. And it's just I can't do it because I can't understand what they're saying, and I'm having issues with it. So, but let me just say, I do follow Cliff over on Instagram, and I adore him. He is so much fun to follow. He has a little girl and a partner that he features on Instagram heavily, especially his little girl, and she's so freaking cute. So happy birthday to Cliff. I hope you get to do something amazing with your family, your adorable family.
Checking in with the Peloton community.
So joining us today via the magic of ZoomTube, it's Shawn Woodbridge. Hey, Shawn, how's it going?
Oh, it's going really well. I'm down here in Calabash, North Carolina. It's on the border of North Carolina and South Carolina, and it's a lot warmer than where you are.
Actually, it was 64 here today.
Because yesterday it was a high of 40, because that's how we roll in Missouri.
Yeah.
Exactly. It is the show me state.
Yeah.
There's about 10 days a year where you will use your heat and your air conditioning
on the same day.
Yeah.
How
I
warm
don't
is
miss
it?
that coming from Kansas City. So I have lived that life.
Yeah, and you said it's warmer there though. What temperature is it?
Yeah, so it's going to be 72 on Saturday.
Nice.
So that's great. And then this morning it was 30 and it reached a high of 60.
Okay.
But it's not landlocked here, so that's what makes it a little specialer.
Oh, I didn't realize it wasn't
Missouri.
landlocked.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I live about 4 miles from the beach, and I've been here for 2 weeks. So
fabulous.
Yeah, it's great.
Well, I always have to start with, and I know this is a longer journey for you, but how did you originally find Peloton?
So I've been looking at the bike in 2015. And I was like, wow, I'd really like to get this bike, but, I don't really have any place to put it. I live in a small home. And then I was donating my kidney, and I didn't know how my health would be impacted after. So in late 2015, I was tested to donate my kidney to my sister. And so then, as luck would have it, I was 100% match, which is very, very unusual. So the surgery happened in January 16th of 2018. So then I had my bike, ordered it on March 7th of 2016. And I'd been a athlete my entire life, a cyclist and runner. Also spent 30 years in the military. So if you're not physically fit, you're kicked out.
Yeah.
So I hopped on the Peloton in March, and it's been a huge part of my life since.
I feel like you're a pillar of the community. You know, you've been around in the Peloton world, since the beginning. So like you're OG to me.
Yeah. Woohoo! OG to me. I love it. I'll take that. And I just, feel incredibly blessed to have some really, truly great friends through subgroups, with the Peloton Road Riders and more recently hardcore. Tom, I don't have a tonal, but I am doing the hardcore calendar.
Okay.
Daily. I don't know if I've caught up to you yet, but hardcore is really great, and multiple rides with my ride rotor friends up in up and down the East Coast. So we have a really great time. We also have Matt and Christine join us occasionally. And back in the old days, we would have smaller, group get-togethers in New York, and instructors would come and crash those parties, and it's just. When you have the same mindset, you surround you're surrounded with people that love to do the same things you do. And so I just feel utterly blessed and thankful that I found the Peloton, because it is truly more than a bike.
It absolutely is. And I know you said that since you were in the military, you were obviously fit because you needed to be.
It was required.
Right. It's required, yes.
Now, do you feel like since you've had the Peloton, your fitness level has changed?
I think that my fitness level, in terms of having to pivot, has changed. I had an injury in 2013 that kept me from running because I was initially a runner. Like my AOL account was Shawn Run at AOL, but I've always been, a multi, in terms of sports, volleyball, softball, basketball. So, and I'd always loved spin class. And so at the Pentagon, I would sneak away and go down and do the spin class in the Pentagon Athletics Center. And I got to the point of actually spending the money to become an instructor, but I never closed the loop on that. So spinning has been a love of mine for a very long time.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
That's so cool. So can you tell people what your leaderboard name is and how you came up with it? I know that's a story too.
It is a story. So as I said, I donated my kidney in January, and a fellow Army friend, Ramona, introduced me to a woman that I knew of because the public affairs community is a very small community, and Kelly had donated her kidney 2 weeks prior. So we're sitting around a fire pit drinking wine, and Kelly and I came up with Army of One Kidney. So I got that leaderboard name, and more recently, Kelly has become a Peloton user. I don't know what her leaderboard name is, but I have the one that we should be sharing.
Aww.
So Army of One Kidney. Yeah. So it was, induced by wine and our love of the Army and generosity through, organ donation. So, and it's one that people don't forget. So I'll never, ever change it. So not like Yaya. Yaya changed hers and someone stole it. So
we know.
Yeah.
Oh, we know.
I don't want to ever get in that situation.
And I don't know that Peloton would be as helpful in today's world as they were back then.
No, that was
helping her get it back.
Those days are gone.
Yeah.
Long gone. So Army of One Kidney. So if you see me out there, high five.
Absolutely.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you have to do any special prep before you donate? Do they have you do anything special, or do you just roll in one day and they snag it?
So you just roll in one day and say, yep, it's me.
Take it.
So there was, a psychological evaluation, which I shocked that I passed, so there was that. And
wait, why are you joking, or were you really shocked that you passed it?
No, I'm just joking.
Okay,
but,
okay.
You know, if you knew my family, they would probably say that I'm not joking. So,
Okay.
But I don't have a top secret clearance anymore either, so I can be totally genuine, totally transparent. But they do check your psychological health, your physical health, and I was on the treadmill with the mask and all that, and I was determined to make it to the end of that test, right? The whole 10 minutes. I made it to 8 minutes, and they were like amazed. They're like, no one does that. But of course, most of the people that they test are not healthy, right?
Right.
So
okay. Yeah.
there I am on that treadmill, but I wanted to do the complete time, but 8 minutes was really, really great. And so they do take a lot of blood. And so they took like 9 vials the first time. And then I came back the second time, and it was like 14. And I thought, oh God, they're going to be done. But in January, the week before, they took 23 vials of blood.
23?
I was shocked. 23.
How did you have any left for the
vials of blood.
surgery? Good Lord.
Exactly. And, you know, it's kind of funny because my sister had type 1 diabetes and she had a kidney pancreas transplant back in 2002. So then she was hit with the H1N1 flu in 2013 and she almost died.
Oh my gosh.
So then it was really tough because she's had more surgeries than years she's been alive. And so she passed away sadly in 2018, but I gave her 3 additional years, and I would never ever, be sad that that she didn't live longer because she led a full life as much as possible during those 3 years. So, I say all that to say that I thought that if you put yourself as a donor on the driver's license, that meant that you could be a living donor and they would just call you. I didn't realize that was for when you were in an accident and they wanted your eyes and your heart and your liver and your lungs. So I'm just happy that I was a match because, this was her second go around with that. And she had a daughter and she's now 25 and she's pretty much the love of my life and my child because I don't have any. So she's stuck with me. But I didn't think twice about it because I know not everyone has a positive experience with kidney donation or organ donation, but for the most part, it's been smooth sailing. I haven't really had to adjust my lifestyle at all because as I said, exercise is important, health is important. All of those things are, have always been a pillar in my life in terms of how I choose to live it because I want to do these things forever, right? And in terms of the Peloton and working out and travel and all those physical events, I just thrive in that environment. So it's just been a blessing to have the Peloton because you don't have to leave. You don't have to leave your home. And now we haven't been able to leave our home in 2 years. So it's just been really, really good. And being at home, it's like, wow, you have the yoga, you have the strength training, you have all of these other things that I just ignored. I just rode the bike and ignored everything else.
All right. So are you still ignoring those things or do you do them now?
No. Like today, I had a date with Dennis doing yoga. It was awesome. I couldn't find my roller, so I didn't have my date with Hannah to roll out, do the roller. But I'm like, God, I need to do more of this. So, for that small monthly fee and the initial expense of the bike, it was like, it's a no-brainer.
It really is.
It really is a great value compared to what spin classes cost.
It so is.
Yes.
Yeah. So, Shawn, I was curious when you mentioned the psychological impact that it has for people. Is there something specific? Like, I've never had to be involved with organ transplant on either end, so I'm not really sure what they're looking for there.
Yeah. Well, I haven't experienced this personally, but there were questions such as, what if, your recipient, just takes your kidney and then you have no relationship with them?
Oh, okay.
Would you be okay with that? Because that does happen.
Yeah.
Your best friend's dad needs a kidney and you donate the kidney and then, for whatever reason, they feel guilty. I think even my sister felt guilty a little bit because towards the end she said, Shawn, can't do this anymore. I can't go back on dialysis. I would fly from LA back in the late 90s to sit with her through dialysis. And so she had already gone through 2 rounds of that. And, she was doing it at night toward the end. And it's not a lifestyle that anyone should, it's not a lifestyle. So it's just not a great way to live. So I said, oh, please, Christy, this is, I gave this to you. This was a gift from me. And I can certainly understand why, you're going to let your life and let God take its course. So, that's just like one of the questions. Sure. And, what if you were to get ill in the future? How would you feel about that? Okay. If you needed a kidney. Okay. So some very hard, serious questions.
Now, if you need a kidney, don't they bump you to like the top of the donor list though, having donated? I thought that was like one of the things they do.
So it's like a food pyramid, and I'm like in the second layer. Yeah. Okay. So it's like, we are somewhat of a priority, but and I said, I think the majority of donations go off without a hitch. Right. But there are some that don't. And, I'm just thankful that I'm on the other side, at least at this point. Sure. So some of the other things too is that, you only have one kidney, and in terms of processing protein, the kidney has to work harder. I can only take Tylenol. I can't take Advil because Tylenol is processed through the liver and the others are processed through the kidney. So that's something that I don't want to do on a regular basis because of the damage that it could cause to the kidney.
That makes sense.
So, they went real, and then they have a meeting of the minds to see, based upon my situation with the psychological review, the health review, and they sit around a table, the whole transplant team, and then they discuss whether or not you are a good candidate based upon all the factors.
Wow.
Interesting. I think that happened to, is it George Lopez? I think his wife donated a kidney to him, and then they ended up divorced.
Right.
Like, that would be
awkward.
That would be awkward.
Awkward. Yeah. And was requested in the court documents that you wanted it back.
Right. Like, good luck with that.
Good luck with that. Exactly. But I just have to thank modern medicine to for it to come along. As it has. That one thing that I did look up, that in 2019 there were 23,000 kidney organ donations, and in 2019 there has been an increase, and it was 7 years in a row that there's been a transplant increase, and that would be heart, liver, and stuff. So I'm hoping that trend is continuing. Yeah, and as being able to talk about this with you on the Clip Out, it is amazing. I know that some people are scared, but I've been in the military and I know what it's like to be in a battle. So and my sister is battling for her life, and if there was an opportunity to change a stranger's life, I would have done the same thing. So I just feel fortunate that I'm the army of one kidney. And Jackie Sincata will say, "Oh my God, here we are. We're out here cycling, and you're amazing. You only have one kidney." And it's like, oh. Yeah, she's right. That is pretty
is that
damn
something
amazing.
That slips your mind? Do you just kind of get back to life, and you're just like, oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So I just get back to life and keep on trucking. It's like, But it was funny. After the donation, you had like a phantom pain. So where the kidney was, you won't understand this, Tom, because you're not a woman, but it was like that monthly cramp.
Yeah.
That's what I would have. I'm like, wait, it's not even there.
Yeah. How is it hurting?
Yeah. Midol will not help that, just for the record.
Okay. Well, it's good to know.
When you weigh yourself, do you like add a pound? Are you like, I really weigh 1 pound more?
No,
I don't know how much kidney weighs.
That is so funny. I was hoping I would drop a lot of weight with that, but that was one thing that I did struggle with afterward that Peloton helped me with, was some weight gain. And I don't know if it was the adrenal, gland and how that works. But then I know that we've talked about, Stronger You or Weight Watchers or any of those things to have that triad of health going again, that I could, drop the weight that I gained post donation. But I don't know if that's a standard thing. But for me, I did gain a bit afterward.
Wow.
But I also got a lot of mileage out of it too. I mean, My orthodontist said that I have a free entry into heaven because I donated my kidney. So I'm like, and I used that with Chris, my husband. He's like, no.
Yeah,
He doesn't.
No, you're going to have to do more than that.
He's a little tougher on you.
He is.
Man, imagine all you could get away with if that actually worked.
Oh, right.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
I got a list.
Are you, whenever it comes to like things like COVID, are you like on a list of having to be more careful than like the average person who has all their organs? Or
so
not?
It's interesting because I don't think, well, in my experience, I should talk about my experience with the medical, qualifications for getting the vaccine, because I do have my booster. But when South Carolina dropped the age to 55 and I just retired, I had nothing better to do. I drove down to South Carolina, got my shot, and drove back to DC, 7.5 hours. I'm like, I'll come back. So I did that, got my second. And then as soon as they announced the third, because my general practitioners, said that, you are, in that category,
Sure.
even though they don't say you are.
Yeah.
So I treat myself as if I am. So I was very cautious in the beginning, and then I wear my mask when I should. But now that I'm living, down in North Carolina, there are more lax circumstances, but I really haven't been out doing much. I was walking on the beach.
I was just curious because my mom lost one of her kidneys whenever I was like, she was pregnant with me, and she lost her kidney and one of her kidneys, and something else happened whenever she was like giving birth. And so it was like a very traumatic thing. And so she's like a little bit anxious about, besides the regular, everybody's anxious about COVID. She was also
not
anxious.
everybody.
Okay. Well,
Exactly, Tom. Exactly.
Well, okay. For the people in Missouri that happen to be anxious, she's one of them a little bit, and I'm glad that she takes it seriously.
Totally.
And we were just having a conversation, and I didn't know if that was the case, but she's always been concerned about me donating a kidney, like ever needing to be in that circumstance, because we have kidney disease in our family. So she's always been very anxious about that. So.
Yeah.
Well, I guess the screening process would probably kick you out. Then, right? Like they'd be like, if you have a family history of this, then like, no, you go ahead and keep both yours just in case.
Just in case.
Yeah, just keep them both. It's good to have two when you need them.
Yeah,
for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when you, before you moved and you used to do all the get-togethers in New York, do you have like a favorite moment from getting to go to the studio?
I think anytime you're in the studio, it's special, right? But I think the first special time was when the Road Riders did the first event, and there were 40 or 50 of us there. And then it was just a whirlwind. And to actually meet these person and sweat in the studio with Matt, and that was, Matt had started the Power Zone training, and then, Christine came on, and then Dennis, and then Olivia, and others. But I think it was just really special because it was such a small posse of people.
Yes. Yes.
And even the first, Home Riders Invasions were much different than the last one that was there.
Absolutely.
And I was like, I'm like, it's great that they tried to do it when we grew so big, but it just lost that essence of intimacy.
It did.
Yeah. And that it's great that everyone knows Peloton now, and who knows how many references I've given. So I've gotten a lot of free clothes out of it, so I can't complain there. But I do miss those intimate moments, and especially in the lounge area where you had one-on-one conversations with the instructors, and then the photos. And then of course, as a road rider, I've been out on the roads with Christine and Matt, and it's so fun to get messages from riders saying, "Oh, I heard your shout out, with Christine or Matt," or they'll see pictures of us out riding in Pennsylvania or down in South Carolina. We just recently did Greenville the first weekend in October. So, Matt was there.
The Hincappy, is that what it's called?
Yeah, the Hincappy events. Yeah. So even then, it's just so kind that, Matt spends time with people and makes time for those that, that he holds a special place in our heart. And I know that we do his. So, again, being an OG has its benefits, that's for sure.
Yes, it does. That
an
is
OG
so true.
with benefits.
They don't do that. We should clarify.
Let's clarify. But
yes.
yeah,
The instructors are friendly,
outdoors.
but they have a line.
Exactly.
Unless you're really hot, then maybe
Exactly.
next level hot.
We don't know where their line is. We're not gonna make that guess.
No.
That's gonna get everybody here in trouble. So does that mean that Matt is your favorite instructor, or is there another instructor that?
Well, it's so funny because I really didn't think I was the creature of habit. So we had a plethora of options. But, I would say that Matt and Christine are my favorites, but I've also loved Jen as well. So I think, and then Dennis. So I think those 4. But out of the new crew, Hannah's awesome, Hannah Frankson. And then what's the blonde out? I can't even think of her name. Out of London.
Bex
Leanne.
Oh, Leanne. Oh, okay. We're talking.
Leanne.
I was running.
Yeah. No, yeah. I can't run anymore. So, well, at least at this point. But yeah, so I like to mix it up a little bit, and then expanding to the yoga and the strength. I'm introduced to Bex. I love her. Rebecca. All of those folks. Manny. It's just great that we have. Basically one-on-one coaching in our own homes.
Absolutely it is.
And Tom, that's where tonal comes in, right? That's where you feel your love, right?
What do you mean?
Well,
I don't feel love.
It's got a heart of stone.
I'm dead on the inside.
That is funny. So with tonal, though, do you have a leaderboard name?
It's very creative. It's Tom O'Keefe.
Yeah, that's Tom.
I was just
It'd be like Tonal Tom or something like that.
I did name him Tonal Tom.
And
I put him on the leaderboard, and he immediately went and changed it.
I thought it made it sound like I worked there. And I'm like, well, I'm not an employee.
I was like, Tom.
So it didn't feel right.
Clip out Crystal and Tonal Tom. It would have been perfect.
No, the alliteration is great,
Yes,
but it was just But I don't work for Tonal. There's probably a guy named Tom at Tonal. There's got to be somewhere.
I'm sure.
And he's probably like, no, I'm Total Tom. And so,
I'm Total Tom.
Yeah.
Well, he should have gotten on the leaderboard, shouldn't he have?
Well, he probably deserves it more because, I don't pay attention. Like, I never pay attention to that stuff.
He doesn't. It's no fun. No fun from paying attention.
But that brings up a point. You have to find something that you love, right? Because I know that you're not a Peloton lover.
I don't dislike. And honestly, I just don't like cardio. Like I think Tonal, or I think Peloton is what they've created is great. Like you know what I mean. And even though I don't utilize it, I'm a fan. I can recognize the quality of it, and it's just not. I hate the cardio stuff.
And it's like, even though he sees results with Tonal, he feels the same way. Like he will do the Tonal, but he doesn't enjoy it.
I'm not like, I can't wait to do this the way you guys are about Peloton. I'm just like, I'm going to go do this now.
It's like we'll be sitting there working out, and I'll be like running on the tread or whatever. And I'll be like, PR, and because he gets a PR all the time, and he's like, oh, did I? Nothing, Shawn.
I didn't know
nothing.
What the ding meant. I was just like, oh, is that what that means? Okay.
We need a Tom Tonal emoji. That's kind of cheap tonal
It's just the
emoji.
shrug. It's just like
just the shrug.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Like well, because I'm thoroughly unimpressed by the PR because for a Tonal because
here we go.
Well, because the whole point of Tonal is that at a certain point it just increases your weight by a pound, right?
Right.
So of course you got a PR because it was time for another pound.
Not of course, because if you hadn't been doing the work, then it wouldn't go up in weight. Like it is something to celebrate. So we cannot come to an agreement on this.
I feel like on the bike or running, like you push yourself extra hard. Where here it's like I'm just lifting what they tell me to lift, and then one day they're like, "Why don't you lift something that's just slightly heavier?" And and then they're like, hooray. And I'm like, well, no, I just
confetti falls.
Yeah, I'm just like, I just lifted something that was slightly heavier. It's not like it's like, do all your focus and put all your attention on this and be extra. Like,
but his strength score has like it gone up 200 points in this.
Wow.
And he has gone, like, since he started doing Met Pro and tonal together, and he really started focusing on tonal, he has gone up like 150 points in his strength score. That's
crazy.
Yeah, it is. Like he does not give himself enough credit.
And that's just because like Met Pro was like, you have to be more consistent about when you work out.
Yes.
So I started working out with greater consistency. And so, it's going to do that, I guess.
Yes, there is a reaction to every action. It's still worth celebrating.
To me, I'm like, it's just math.
I'm Team Crystal. I am Team Crystal on this one.
Thank you, Shawn. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, do you have any advice for people who are just starting off their fitness journey?
I would say my advice is to go slow. There's so many options out there. Start with what you love, because there's a vast variety of trainers and classes and types of classes now, with boxing coming into play. That's a huge thing for a lot of people. And you saw that coming, right?
Yes.
But just take it slow. Look at the pre-programmed Peloton, programs for boxing and core and all of that, and just take it one ride or one run at a time. And don't overwhelm yourself. Start out small. But if you're working out already, just go for that hour power endurance ride with Matt on Saturdays.
I like how you got the little plug-in for Power Zone too. That's perfect.
Yes,
Perfect.
yes.
Matt would be proud.
Yes, so would Angie.
Yes.
So we're good.
Awesome. Well, I guess thank you so much for joining us. Before we let you go, where can people find you if you would like to be found?
They can find me. Well, they can't find me on Instagram because my account was stolen. So they can find me. Yeah, it's crazy. I'm still trying to get that straightened out. But when I was backpacking in the Grand Canyon, someone decided to railroad my Instagram account. But you can find me. I put Shawn Marie because people sometimes think I'm a guy. But Shawn Marie Woodbridge on Facebook, and then Army of One Kidney is my handle on Peloton.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to join us.
Yes, thank you.
And for your service.
Yes.
And for your kidney donation.
Yes, you're an amazing lady. Thank you for everything you do. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. Thanks, Crystal and Tom. It's been my pleasure. Sincerely.
So I guess that brings this episode to a close. What, pray tell, do you have in store for people next week?
A really wonderful interview with Jim McCaffrey. You might remember, Tom, last year we interviewed Andrea from the Infinite Love for Children, and she rode for 24 hours straight. Yes. Well, this year, Jim is her VP of that organization, and he is going to be riding, and he shares his story, and you got to listen.
Awesome. Well, until next week, where can people find you?
People can find me on Facebook at facebook.com/Crystal D. O'Keefe. They can find me on Instagram, Twitter, the bike, and the tread at ClipOutCrystal. And you can find me on Twitter at Roger Kubert or on Facebook at facebook.com/Tom O'Keefe. Find the show online, facebook.com/The Clipout. While you're there, like the page, join the group. And of course, don't forget our YouTube channel at youtube.com/The Clipout. So that's it for this one. Thanks for tuning in. And until next time, keep pedaling. And running.